The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to the Happiness Jungle TV show. I'm your guest host, CamiBaker.com, and as always, I am excited about our guest. This lovely couple are some folks that I met, about 6 months ago in Phoenix. We were sharing the stage, as it were, with Eric Swanson at a Habitude Warrior convention, and I saw their table and just their bright smiles, and they are running a networking group, and of course, as you guys all know, that I'm all about networking, connecting, net webbing, creating relationships, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we've been doing. And I can't wait to hear all the new things that Robert and Shawn Jones are up to. So it over to you guys. Tell our viewers a little bit of something about yourself.
Well, definitely first, we just want to say thank you for, getting us on your show, and we appreciate that. And, it's been great getting to meet you, and I look forward to our future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Cami. We're really excited. The times that I've seen you on the stage, we've learned from you. And I know a lot of our members who have seen you in person rave and appreciate what you're doing in your marketplace and moving outside of that area.
Well, yeah. I appreciate the kudos. And the fact is, we are all three collectively into connecting and into collaborating and into creating a community of people who are like-minded, visionary, go-getters, goal setters, etc. Mm-hmm. So talk to us a little bit about your group, what you're all about, what your mission statement is, what you're doing, where you're going. Just tell us what you need us to know.
Well, what I want to start off with is I got to go through your book when you handed it to me. We actually take it to every event to let others know who you are, and we place it out on the table, and we go through the story and how we met you and how you talk about networking and how most people network wrong. They don't really know how to leverage networking, and I'll give you a little inside scoop. This is first time, but it won't be the only time. But we looked at Network Together and we reevaluated who we are as a community, and we decided to base Network Together on 5 pillars. And one of the pillars of Network Together is helping businesses and people grow through community outreach. And one of the things that you profess in the book is, to create great impact and value is actually working with not-for-profit communities and others who give back and serve. And the more that you can serve others, the more that your viewability, your likability, and your impact can grow substantially. So I wanted to say thank you for that as well.
Well, I appreciate you for giving me that acknowledgement. And, social responsibility is not just the right thing to do. It is the necessary thing to do in business. Mm-hmm. And, not just from the altruistic perspective, people and planet are obviously going to grow and be enhanced and be better because of it, but so is profit. And there's so many different ways to use a cause to market ourselves and our business in a campaign that gives us I call it, it's kind of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with the golden ticket. Like you've got the golden ticket to talk to anyone and everyone that you want to in business. So I'm so glad to hear that you're employing that. Tell me a little bit more about it. What kind of causes are you guys getting involved in?
Well, go ahead. Well, one of ours that we're really focusing on also involves the youth. We're really big on teaching youth starting at age 7 on up. So we've been working with different unified school districts in the area, helping bring their youth into our events so they have an opportunity to learn more what's going on out there, what type of businesses. We teach them there's a lot that we incorporate.
And most recently, we did mock interviews with the local high school. Shawn was a panelist on DECA, so she was able to judge the kids that were coming through there. We work with other community-minded leaders to give away shoes and clothing, etc. So, but we also offer this up through our members, through our community. And what I really love about Shawn, since she's is a former foster mom, she has a passion for kids, innately, which I love to see her. And she just glows when she comes home and she says, like, I think I lit someone up. I think they're going to be a new entrepreneur. They're going to be a new Network Together member. And I'm like, okay, honey, it's only like, we just woke up.
Well, I love that you're doing that. I love that you are encouraging and teaching the young people. I'm all about that too. One of my clients is doing something called Finding the Sharks, which is a Shark Tank type of an event where we're finding the sharks that are in elementary and high school and celebrating them and doing a little competition for entrepreneurship. And because of what I do as America's authority on the cause marketing campaign and cause marketing movement, I have people introduce me all the time to new organizations. And I just heard of one last week called LemonDay.org. And LemonDay.org is a group that teaches entrepreneurial kids, very small, to get started with doing the lemonade stand that we all know of back in the day. Tell me a little bit about your history. Have you both always been entrepreneurial and business owners?
Yes, for me, I actually started at age 8. I had my first business back in the 80s. I'm 42 now. And I remember I had reached a point where I looked at my mom and dad and I said, I want to be able to buy my own items. I don't want to have to go to you. And I was only 8 years old. And I had opened up a car washing business. So you can imagine the big old Broncos back in the day. And so for me, my background has always been to start companies. I get them to a certain point, and depending on the nature of the business, I've either sold off the different divisions or I've sold the entire companies. That's my adrenaline rush. But Network Together it's taken my entire background, everything I've ever done, and brought it under one roof.
That's awesome, Shawn. I'm glad to know that about you. I, too, was an entrepreneur at 8. I saw kids at school wanted gum. I had gum. They had money. It seemed like a logical exchange to me. And so I bought more gum and I sold it at a 500% profit. And then I took that money and loan sharked it for high collateral and interest. So, I knew that we were cut from the same cloth. What about you, Robert?
Well, you know what? I'm exactly the opposite of both of you. I come from a family where my mom is a teacher, and so what does she do? She teaches curriculum to get people to learn how to get jobs in certain ways. And then my dad, he's an engineer. So, in the same way, well, you further your schooling so you can get an even better job. So I had a lifetime of having you got to go out and get that job to be successful, and you better have a lot of degrees behind your name, because the more of the alphabet that you get behind your name, the more money you're going to make in your career. So what happened was about, oh gosh, date myself a little bit, about 20 years ago, I was working for a company in San Diego, California. And I just was putting my blood, my sweat, my effort, my tears into this company. And, I read this book on how to get a pay raise, right? Because I had a job. I walked into the vice president and I said, I've been here longer. I've trained, I've created scripts for a telemarketing department. I did all the proper things and I asked for my pay raise. Let me ask you a question. Do you think I got it?
I'm going to say no.
You are so correct. I said no. And I said from that day forward, I will never work for anyone again, because I didn't want anyone to put a price tag on what I could do.
Amen, my friend. And as it is said about entrepreneurs, we are the only people who will work 100 hours a week to avoid working 40 hours a week.
Right. Yeah. Yes. And you only work 100 hours, huh?
So how did you decide to come together and create this networking group? Because it's one thing to be entrepreneurial. It's one thing to be in corporate and then decide, I don't want to work for somebody else. It's another thing to want to create a whole community of people and, have this vision. Talk to us about that.
Well, what I was doing, I was working in San Diego, California, and I loved it out there. And I decided, well, my family, my family lives in Arizona. And I thought, I'm going to make some money on real estate. Unfortunately, that time in real estate was 2006 through 2008. And so instead of being able to buy a bunch of real estate and, invest and make some money out here, I ended up actually having to live out here because the market fell. So I did what any entrepreneur would do. I had a great web development and search engine optimization company in San Diego through my background. And I went out to the local chamber of commerce, and I went there to see if I could find a place where I could grow my business and learn about the local economy and meet other business owners. Unfortunately, the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce did the same thing I did and wouldn't allow me to submit my application to join and to be a member.
Huh.
Yeah, I suffered for about a year. About a year later, there was a leads group that opened up. A friend told me to go. I walked into the coffee shop and I saw the exact same person. We locked eyes. I immediately turned around and said, you know what? This is not going to stop me. I'm a Marine. I served 6 years. And what do you do in the Marines? You improvise, you overcome and adapt. And I said, if I can't be a part of it, I'm going to make something up myself. And that's how Network Together came about.
Well, and Network Together has grown very quickly. I remember when we first met, you were talking about some of your numbers. Tell our viewers how long you've been around, how many members you have, and where exactly you are located, like, physically.
Well, you want to answer that? Yeah. Well, right now, when we met, we were probably not quite 200 members yet. We just became an LLC in June of 2015. Now we're about the 600 member level, and that's with our paid annual memberships. We also have a pay-as-you-go membership model where people can go to the different meetings and events and just, pay the tickets to get in there or get tables or, whatever, sponsor different things. And we have another 1,500 members that go on that model. So overall, we have a footprint in the Arizona area of about 2,000 members.
Now, are you branching out to California or other states?
Well, it was natural for us to look at San Diego and LA, the Orange County areas as our next place to go because I'd lived, there for so long and I found a lot of success. But what we found is, Utah's been calling us. And so we just reached out and we're working on inking the deal to get our next opportunity in the Park Cities, Salt Lake City area of Utah. So we're really excited about that. But there's other areas that we want to get into, such as Nevada and Washington and Texas. But right now, it looks like Utah is where we're going to be. So
if there are any folks in those areas that are business-minded, entrepreneurial, and may want to partner with you, obviously you're going to need some boots on the ground in those different areas, yes?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Nice. And do you publicize I know you have a website. I've seen your website. Do you also do meetups to get people there?
Yes, absolutely. We actually found Meetup as one of the most successful ways to people, to find our organization. Currently, we have 18 meetups just in the Phoenix area alone.
Well, a friend of mine, Sunil, who I actually had on the show about a month ago, has like 130,000 members in his collective meetup groups. And it's it's quite the network. And I know for me, when I'm going to go to a different area, so I live in the Boston area, but if I'm going to Florida or Phoenix or California, I'll just create a meetup there and I will build it for a month or two before I go. And then I have a place to speak when I get there. So there's all kinds of great ways to do that. So talk to us about what makes your group, what is your unique sales proposition? In other words, everybody that has a networking group says, well, we come together and we give each other referrals and we have a family community and everybody's supportive and we get education. That's kind of all a given. What makes yours different?
I'm going to take this one. So what makes us different is we're not a leads group. You will never come to any one of our meetings at any time and see the referral bin going around. It's really about getting to know the business, really identifying what it is that business needs in order for us to help promote them and sell them their services. Because we're not just that networking group where we have our meetings, we create the events. It's business to business as well as business to community, and you don't see that very often. You and I both know most times networking groups, it's just the businesses, they're there and they're trying to sell to each other. Where we actually want to bring the general public in and educate them of what options are available out there.
Ooh, fun. Talk about that. Like, what kind of things do you educate the community on?
Well, I want to interject one thing else too. I believe genesis of anything, like a seed, means everything. And, I think a lot of the networking groups, their genesis starts out to be business networking groups. But the difference with Network Together actually is when I said I did this improvise, adapt and overcome, is I actually wanted it to be a relationship development group, not necessarily a business networking group. When I was a kid, there was a concept called Welcome Wagon in the Midwest. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I said, as a kid, I thought, it brought people together to get to know each other from belly to belly and eye to eye and hand to hand and handshakes. And I thought, what a great way as a business owner who is just learning the ropes to kind of be able to model and mentor with other business owners, not based upon making money, but actually developing relationships. And I think our genesis has a lot to do with how Network Together has grown.
I love that. And that's where we have that similarity with the cause marketing campaigns that I do, because when I'm working with the client on what cause they want to use as a way to market themselves and their business, really the whole thing about it is it kind of tricks the salesperson or the business owner to leave their icky salesperson at home, and they can show up authentically. If they're, people who are passionate about the veterans, or about children that are going hungry, or about the animals that are being abused, like whatever it is that people are really passionate about, when they can talk about that instead of trying to figure out what is my dirty 30, my 30-second elevator pitch, what am I going to say to explain myself, especially for people that have something that's kind of hard to explain. Like if someone's in Reiki, or if they're a coach, or there's something kind of esoteric and it's kind of hard to explain, to actually not have to explain what you do, but talk about what you're doing. That is the true paradigm shift that I've been playing with, is when somebody says, what do you do? Be thinking about explaining what you're doing in the world. So, back when I was in real estate and in network marketing, I did the antique car show, and the proceeds went to the Live and Let Live farm. So I always fall back on that as an example. But when someone would say, hey, what do you do? I'd say, what, I'm so glad you asked, because we're doing this car show and we're looking for hot cars, and we're looking for people who love cars, and we're giving all the proceeds to the Live and Let Live farm, and they rescue horses, and we're looking for businesses that might want to put a table up and promote themselves, like Mary Kay or a title company. And just from that, people would say, oh my God, I love the Live and Let Live farm. My church volunteers there, or my dad had an antique car, or the guy down the road's got a dozen of them. That sounds like a lot of fun. So in other words, when I was able to break the ice and bridge that humanity gap and meet them where they're at, the business was just natural. And when I could call my past clients, so I'll talk to my clients now about, how many past clients do you have? 50, 100, 500, 5,000? You're not talking to them as much as you could. You're not getting as many referrals as you could. And one of the reasons is because nobody wants to make that call. Hey, Bob, you bought a car from me 3 years ago. Who do you know that's in the market? But when you can come up and say, hey, Bob, the car show's going on. We're looking for hot cars. We're, who wants to help the Live and Let Live farm? Stuff like that is such an easier, softer sell, if you will. And when I was in real estate and would make those calls, about a third of the people that I would call to let them know about the show, about a third of them would say, so how is the market, Cami? So in other words, it always came back to business anyway. Yeah. Do you find that to be the case for you and your people?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We have this theory in Network Together that, what really brings people together is not the relevant content of what they do, it's the relevant content of who they are. And when we get to know who each other is, those natural conversations create, something that most marketing can't bring about, and that's bonds. And I found the most effective way to grow your business is just to go out and create bonds with other people, because those are the people that are the sustainable ones. They're not selling you and you're not selling them. All you're doing is being knowledgeable about who they are and what they do, and then you go out and serve others. And that's a big thing about Network Together. It's not about sales, it's about service. And the people who are successful are the people who serve more people.
Well, and I totally agree. And that building of the relationship, like I was saying, that, it's kind of my way of tricking them into just meeting people who as they are, because they can leave the icky salesperson at home. And frankly, a lot of my clients lately have been people that are extremely well connected. The president of the board of realtors, this other woman who runs 4 or 5 groups in the area and is so well connected. But there's a difference in being well connected and knowing how to leverage the resources and the relationships that you have, having a little bit of strategy with that. So talk a little bit about how you help your people now that they're building these relationships and they're coming and doing all that. Like, how do you help them to follow up and follow through and actually take action?
That's the operational in there.
We have a curriculum team, an education team, that they put training classes together. And we will bring in our key mentors as well. And we do a lot of the focus on the one-on-one and teaching them these are the etiquette, these are the programs. We bring outside resources in. We teach our people about joint ventures and what that looks like and how they can strategically make it to where it's a win-win for both, and those follow-ups. We talk about everything has to do with systems. We educate them. If you don't have a good system in place, your efforts are going to go unnoticed. Eventually it's going to snowball and you're going to find that it's not working for you. So we will, for us, we go outside to bring those resources in to teach our members, to show them, and we help them create those alliances.
Well, and I certainly would like to be one of those people that you bring in to help with that, because we are such in alignment. And when you talk about the tools and things that you bring to the table for the follow-up and the systems, do you have any kind of technology that you use that's a good CRM or a specific way of helping them to follow up?
Yeah, what's really interesting is, we're also a member-led organization, and we listen to our members. And one of the tools, brand is really big right now. And one of our JV partners who just started out as just a member is Ron Howard with Sotellus. And Sotellus is a video review platform where it's search engine optimized. So if someone reviews your company as a third-party tool, it'll come up in Google and also show in places, your star, and show the video when you do testimonials. Another company that we used just changed their name, but it was formerly called Infusionsoft. And we really have, it took us a little while, let's say, to learn Infusionsoft. But we had another partner who was a Network Together member come in and train us, and now we've really enjoyed, how Infusionsoft allows us for us to create a message and be able to take that message and market it out consistently and timely to the audiences that we want to get with. And then we have another member named Jane Powers, and she helps us craft, the very words that we say, so we can utilize them both on stage or in print. And those are just 3 of the ways that we've used member resources themselves. And it's what's really funny, Cami, is, we talk about our audience, about how powerful joint ventures are, and now that we've grown, we've seen, what it can do for people, because together everyone achieves so much more, and that's where we're really, seeing the associations, and we're providing pathways for others to also implement so they can see their impact grow.
Nice. Well, it's always great to see these communities growing and the tribe getting bigger. Now, you guys run a huge organization. Is this your full-time thing, or do you do coaching on the side? Do you have other businesses that are being fed by this community?
Yes, we do have an SEO company, and then we also do corporate trainings. We will go into companies and train their staff, whether they want us to create the curriculum or they give us the curriculum and we push it out and teach them. We can do it web-based. We can do in person. They don't have to be located here in Arizona.
So give me an example of a company that you've worked with and where they were and what you helped them do.
One of our clients, they've had us teaching, it was rolling out for their teachers, and it was different processes, and it was based on communication, how to connect with them and talk even amongst as a team. That's been my background. I've ran training divisions outside of network together and worked with school districts and teaching them how to use different types of software and the follow up. And so that way everything was mainstreamed online and they had to use certain products. And so we will do any type of training, whether it's on a product or if it's even how to smile. You know, we'll do those team building workshops.
You know, communicating and connecting is just, it's an art form that seems to be so lost. And it seems like social media has made us some of the most antisocial creatures. And you know, people are having such a hard time just making a phone call, just following up, getting someone to set an appointment, keep an appointment, follow up is just, it's an art form. And it is definitely something that needs to be taught, which is why we are all in business as we are.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. You know, and I tell our networkers, I say, you know, networking is like a language. If we don't use it, it will be lost in the annals like Latin. You know, and you know, there's, you know, when it comes to networking, if done right, there's nothing better. But if it's done wrong, there is nothing worse.
Well, that is so true. And I like that you call it, you know, connecting, because connecting is such an easier word for the palate than networking. I've learned to try to get rid of the word networking and just call it connecting. We've got about 2 minutes left on the show, guys. Give me a couple of resources, a couple of things that you'd like our viewers to know. What are some books that you've read or coaches that you've had or something that you find to be really inspirational?
Well, here's my little shameless plug. See, I have my book right here, Mingle to Millions.
Right on cue.
You know, hey, you spoke, I heard, we listened, you know, and we created 5 pillars of network together. And one of them is public speaking, then there's personal development, business networking, service to our youth. But the one that inspired me was, you know, community outreach. We need others to know that. So this book, and then I also just reread Think and Grow Rich. And I read it about 20 years ago. And believe me, the words that I read now, it's like, before I read them intellectually, but now when I read the book, it's almost as if I can feel the words just in the fiber of my body.
Isn't it so true? You know, to be able to reread a book, it's like, you know, reading it for the very first time. So what about you, Shawn? We've got about 60 seconds left. What's something that you would recommend?
Well, a book that I'm actually reading right now is Get the Head Trash Out by Noah St. John. And it's so true. And I work a lot with female entrepreneurs and coaching them on a one-on-one basis. And it's amazing how much head trash they get hung up on. You know, they have this going from mom to going into the business world. They may not have a supportive significant other. They might be that single mom with zero support system, but they have all these, well, I can't. And it's like, well, why not?
Yeah.
Well, thank
so
God
that book right now is very fitting for a lot of women that I'm working with.
Thank God they have you to support them. And, you know, the imposter syndrome is something that a lot of people have. Gosh, can I do this? Will anybody pay me for this? Well, guys, we're at the end of the show. 27 minutes goes by very fast when you're in the flow and with people that you truly enjoy. It's been my honor to share you with my people, my tribe, and I can't wait to meet all of your tribe. You guys have been a pleasure. Thank you for being on the Happiness Jungle TV show.
Thank you,
Cami.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.